Hello everyone. My presentation will be about systemic change in construction, why it is needed and how it can be done. I would like to start from the newspaper articles which highlights some challenges in the construction industry nowadays. So clients, especially in the large projects, are often suffering from poor quality, cost exceeds and scheduling delays. Like in these cases, and often, for example, if the large project is delayed, it also leads to the additional costs. In the rightmost example, we have a residential construction project in city of Helsinki, where actually the windows could not be opened properly due to the errors in the design phases made in that project. So clients are suffering. At least we have a lot of anecdotal evidence on that. How then about suppliers, or let's say industry itself? If you look at the statistics of the profitability of the construction companies, we can also see that they have also quite a lot of challenges. So the profitability is remained quite low during the last decades. And also, if you know the publicly listed companies in Finland, for example, they have also some serious economic challenges. And also our research on workers, when we are following what really workers do in construction sites, it says that actually huge part of their time is consumed in non-value adding tasks, like looking for materials, carrying materials, waiting, trying to understand designs and so on. Actually only 1/3 of time is value adding at maximum. If we go more deeply to look what really happens on construction sites, we have done a lot of research on that. So actually it's not about plans which direct where the construction workers are going to work. So if you invite the electrician to work on your site on Monday, he might come to some other project because there is better circumstances to work. And he or she might come on Tuesday or Wednesday on your site. Materials are disturbing a lot. Blue-collar workers work almost every day. If you are working in the office, you could consider if in every second day you need to start your workday by cleaning your table from your colleagues' stuff. That's how it's happening often in construction. Materials are moved a lot, many times before the final installation. And also work is very scattered and dispersed, so people actually are not focusing or concentrating on their value-adding installation work in one workspace for a long time, but they are moving on different places in the workspace or construction site, and many workers are visiting the same workspace at the same day. Okay, so it looks like we have some evidence that we are in some kind of lose-lose situation when we look at how customers get value from the construction compared to the potential they could get, and how industries is also managing. So the question is that how we can move to from that kind of lose-lose situation to win-win situation. In our research, we have taken that kind of systemic change approach and it means we can also speak about systemic transformation or systemic innovations. And there are a couple of things under that concept. First one is that we cannot look only about the immediate symptoms of the system and try to solve those, but we really need to understand what are the root causes behind some behavior or phenomena and try to solve those. And second one is a holistic approach, which means that we need to understand different subsystems, what's happening, and not like focusing too much on the single perspective. And network perspective means that in construction ecosystem we have a lot of different players, and we need to coordinate those different players and professionals' actions in order to really make sustainable change in the industry. And that effect investigation should be combined. in our empirical research, we have been first identifying global, let's say, pioneer companies who have made some kind of systemic change, at least in their own ecosystem, which demonstrate the huge growth and better profitability or better productivity and better customer value than their competitors. Then we have been going to really try to understand what kind of patterns there exist in the journey of those companies. And I will show you now a couple of examples of that empirical study. That first one is a company which build transferable and leased school buildings. So the company is itself owning the schools, they lease them for the municipalities. So they have that kind of life cycle business model, and they have made huge innovations in the product itself, which enable them to relocate the buildings or building blocks for the next customer, the next municipality, when there is no any more need for that space in one client. And they do also a lot of collaboration with educational professionals. Really try to understand what is a good educational learning environment. What is good? Is the future learning environment, and not only focusing on the spaces or buildings, but the operations really happening inside the buildings and what the buildings and spaces would enable. A second company is dealing with affordable housing concept. This is very critical topic in many societies, how we can get high value affordable houses. The company has innovated a very cost-efficient wooden building system and a cost-efficient production system around that. They have selected also very focused customer segment, not providing these to the city centers, but to regions when there is a little bit more spaces, but still good connections to the services. And they manage the whole end-to-end process from lot acquirement to conceptual design, building design, manufacturing, installation, and handover to the customer. So having all this in-house in the company. Third one is digital design platform innovator, originally a design office who has innovated that kind of digital platform which includes digital platforms for different building types, one for residential construction, one for office buildings, and the third for like a bigger, like a sport halls. And in that kind of platform, there is a lot of existing good design solutions which utilize modular components and also the existing supply chains or supplier networks to produce and install those components. So through that kind of services, their customers can really lean the project process and speed up the process and still have unique buildings in the end. So what is common for these, let's say, innovators or pioneer companies? We have first found that actually in order to make sustainable change in the construction sector, those companies need to understand the different subsystems and make simultaneous changes in all of those at the same time. One subsystem is the product itself, the building, the physical building and innovations there, but that's not enough for change. Changes are also needed in the process. How we start the project in the beginning, in the conceptual phase, moving to the design phase, manufacturing and so on. And how different product innovations can be embedded into that. Third one is how we utilize information and data. How data can be used for getting feedback from the outcomes, improve or enhance the continuous improvement of our processes and products to enable competitive edge for the companies. Fourth subsystem is related to value creation and business model. So many of these companies are moving away from existing dominating project-related business models toward the toward the life cycle models or service business models or platform-based businesses. And the fifth subsystem is related to how we manage people, how we organize different professions. That's also changing if you look at those innovative companies. So there is not anymore the similar like static roles of engineers or architects or HVAC system specialists and so on. So those companies often start from one subsystem and then move to make immediate changes in the other subsystems too. Okay, our research is still ongoing, but it has still some implications for different stakeholders. We have been speaking a lot with the companies in the construction sectors, CEOs of the construction companies and design offices, and they find this kind of findings valuable for them to think about the big picture. If they want to innovate something, make a big leap in the business, so they really need to understand all the subsystems and how to work there. Then the industry institutions have also important role because they can standardize different things, how we speak about products, about deliveries and so on. And that kind of standardization is often important to utilize in order to utilize technology later to scale up different things. Clients are also have huge power in construction sector, and they can demand more continuous improvement from the industry. And then this has also implications to policymakers and authorities, especially in regional authorities, which often seem to have like different rules in different regions. And that's the problem when some innovation may be possible in one municipality or one region, but not in another due to different interpretations of the laws and rules. And I think that this is also relevant for us as an education institute because we educate future game changers in this field, and we should ensure that we are not educating people in silos too much so that the people have their own language, own view on construction innovations, but we should enhance collaboration and innovations in the boundaries of professions. Thank you very much.